Is getting hair back on your head purely about aesthetics, or is it about something much, much deeper? Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to start getting back into my hair system fun facts for you guys. And today I found out that Louis XIII of France was the first man in Europe who popularised wigs. So if you've ever seen pictures of Georgian wigs, he's the guy that started it all. It was to cover up his balding, and it really became trendy. Now, I'm going to be quite brutally honest and vulnerable in this video, so please do prepare yourselves. But before I got my first hair system, and I had a lot of hair loss, trichotillomania and male pattern baldness, I was of the lowest of the low. I was almost sectioned. I almost tried to end my life, not just because of the hair loss problem. There were a lot of other things going on. I'd completely lost all of my social connections at that time, and I felt completely stuck. I was even seeing a therapist at the time, but I just found that I wasn't getting anywhere with it because there were some really important intangibles which I felt needed fixing before I could take steps forward in my life. I was still living at home with my mum. At the time, I was completely out of work and I didn't have great prospects. The city that I was living in at the time was very, very expensive. It still is incredibly expensive. And I remember thinking, how on earth am I going to get on the property ladder? How on earth am I going to even be able to afford to rent and get out of my mum's house? It was a scary period for me, and it really felt like a time of reckoning. I really felt like I was at a dead end. Now, I had no idea the impact of actually getting a hair system would actually have on not just my appearance, because obviously that's super important, but other things as well. And it's really interesting to note that once I actually got the hair system, I was seeing a therapist at the time, and the therapy started working. My mood started improving. I started feeling more confident. I started socializing again. All of these things that I'd stopped doing for so long. And it was almost like a domino effect. It was almost like a domino effect in that I improved one thing, and that was really, really fundamental to what felt like every single aspect of my life. And I underestimated that at the time. And it was like once that improved, everything else in my life started improving, which is why I really do believe that getting a hair system or just getting hair back on your head is so much more than aesthetics. It hits you at a deeper level and it can change every single aspect of your life for the better. Now, is that to say that stuff like therapy doesn't have its place? No, I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying stuff like counselling doesn't have its place, because it does. But what I found in my experience was that therapy and the counselling started working because I felt able to implement the tools because I had back the thing that was holding me inside. Having back hair gave me more confidence to be able to go outside and feel proud of myself, feel proud of how I looked. Now, to give you an example, quite soon after I got my hair system, I actually moved away from the city that I've been brought up in. I moved away from everyone and I decided to start fresh. And that was a big risk. But weirdly, had I not had hair on my head, I don't think I would have had the confidence to do it. I could well still be at my mum's house. I noticed that when I was going out, I used to go out very rarely with friends, and I would be in a pub. I would be too scared to speak to women. I was single at the time. I would be too scared to approach women because I was constantly thinking, I've got these bald patches, I've got a receding hairline. I know that women tend to prefer men who have got hair, and it was impossible. And I know that that isn't specifically true. I know that a lot of women find bald guys attractive, but I don't think it's the appearance. I think it's the way they carry themselves. And I felt that without hair, I didn't have and I couldn't muster the inner confidence, the inner self-esteem to start approaching women. I'm also quite a short dude as well, so that didn't really help. Quite often, if I'm not wearing my contact lenses, I'm wearing glasses as well. I'm no oil painting. However, I found that when I got hair back, that external benefit actually had inner transformations as well. And this is not talked about enough in, this community. They say, get your hair back on your head and you'll look way better. But actually, it's about something so much deeper than that. It transforms you internally. And I haven't met one person who's got hair back on their head, unless it's like a shocking hair transplant, who hasn't felt way better as a result of getting their hair back. Really curious as well. So I did a little bit of research on this to basically to see if I could find any scientific studies which sort of backed up, this feeling that I'd experienced and the feeling that multiple others when they get their hair back experience. And there's been a couple of studies, and some looked at dating, and they compared the same women looked at guys who were bald on dating apps and guys who had hair, and they picked, more often than not, they picked the guys with hair over the guys without hair. There was another study I found as well where they looked at people going for job interviews, and they found that people who basically had their CVs, picture of them with hair, and they photoshopped the same CV and made them look bald, they invited something crazy. I can't remember the exact percentages. If I can find that study again, I'm going to get it to pop up on the screen right now. If I can't, sorry, you're going to have to take my word for it. But basically they found that something like 70% of the guys with the hair in CVs were picked over the bald guys. So it's not just affecting your social life, it has a positive effect on your dating life. It has a positive effect on potentially your working life as well. And of course, as I mentioned earlier in this video, it makes a difference to how you carry yourself. And that's why I think it's so much deeper than the aesthetics on the outside. And this is why, in my opinion, hair systems are getting more and more popular year in, year out, and the stigma is getting less and less. Why? Because hair systems, or getting hair back on your head, are actually a tool for incredible self-improvement. It's not just about the external, it transforms the internal. And yes, I get the occasional BS in terms of the comments on YouTube and TikTok or whatever, but do you know what? I don't care. I don't give a flying F. Do you know why? Because getting hair back on my head has fundamentally changed who I am as a person for the better. If I summarize for you, as I said at the top of the video, before I had hair, I was almost sectioned, tried to end my life. I was still living at home with my mum. I was struggling financially, and I felt like I was at a dead end in life, and I wasn't even 30. You look at me now, I'm married. I have a whole bunch of new friends. I'm able to socialize with people, and I've been able to discover who I am as a man, who I am as a person, and I've started actually owning my power and owning my truth. And I feel like I can do that now. I didn't feel like I could do that before. So if you come across an imbecile who's like, shave it off, or, do this or do that, no, you do you. Take your power back, guys. You are perfectly entitled to do exactly what you want to make yourself feel better about yourself. Do you know why? Because you're worth it. And going through hair loss sucks, and you don't need to suffer. If you found that video useful and insightful, please give it a thumbs up, guys, and also comment below. I really want to know, are you a hair system wearer? Are you a bit on the fence because you're worried about what people might say? Have hair systems transformed your life like they have mine? Let me know in the comments box below. It'd be really great to hear your opinions, and let's get self-empowered together.